Are we ready?
Ready.
Hello.
Welcome. It's the Graveyard Girls.
A true crime and mysteries podcast.
Yes. Do we plug
That sounded like a little elephant. Did you hear that?
I
might leave that in.
trumpet.
It was a little
Like
trumpet.
Dumbo.
It was like a little baby one. What was that?
I don't know.
I hope the mic picked that up, otherwise they're going to
We
be
just
like...
sound
"What?"
like mad women.
Yeah. Little baby elephant outside.
I mean, they're not little, but... It'd be bigger than the... Well, the baby one wouldn't be bigger than the car,
Yeah.
but an adult one would.
It sounded like a baby one.
Okay. But we'd also need an adult one, because otherwise how did the baby one get here?
Aliens.
No, Natasha.
Let's talk about something else other than aliens, because you get angry.
Yes. So, obviously, we've only got a few weeks left now until the witch trials goes live. So,
We do.
yes, hopefully everyone's getting as excited about it as we are.
Well, as we are stressed.
I don't know as we are. Just we've got a lot still to do. No, it's sort of running smoothly. We're ready. There's a lot of content for us still to cover, and we have a very short time frame to do it. But we can do it.
We can do it.
We've just got to stay very focused and not get distracted by potential baby elephants outside the window.
And that's going rather
Really
well.
Yeah, we're doing very well at that.
We're like, oh, look at this. And we get distracted and then it's gone.
3 hours later.
Yeah.
No, we're doing really well. So hopefully, like I said, everyone's just as excited as we are. We obviously pop over to Patreon for that. We've obviously got a few episodes on there now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to sort of get a bit of a taster of what's going to be on there, because we've got a few episodes as well. I think, yeah, we've got a few that could sort of give you a bit of a link in for the witch trials, a bit of a style up. We've got the history of poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
I think before the witch trial starts, we'll also have one about werewolves
Ooh.
and trials. So that's a good one to look out for. So yeah, we'll get all started with that in the coming weeks. And yeah, it's really not long till that comes out now. So we're just going to get it all recorded and finished off. We're a good way through writing it. So yeah, it will kick off on Patreon. We will still have 3 episodes on our other platforms each week, but it will just be 1 each week. So it'll be a bit of a taster. So maybe if at the beginning you're not too sure whether it's going to be for you, obviously keep following these episodes. And if you like the free one, then you'll get the full picture, if you like, the whole story, if you head over to the Patreon. There is 2 tiers on Patreon at the moment. If you do the £1 one, that won't unlock the bonus episodes, which includes the witch trials. You will need to select the second tier, which is the £3 one.
Yeah, the £1 one is just for support.
Yeah, it's basically to help supporters do these 3 episodes, basically. But yeah, anyone that signs up to the £3 one will get that. And then as the merch starts dropping in, you'll also have discounts and early access to that for anyone who subscribes on Patreon. So we've split it quite nicely now that Patreon's got going. I think anything that's sort of not really a mystery will now end up on a Patreon. Anything we want to cover, because we've got quite a broad things that we like to cover. Like we've got a lot of historical cases now, and when we started, we found we had a lot that we really liked that were historical but not necessarily a mystery. So we had a couple of our free ones that were a bit history based. So again, I suppose it's a bit of a taster for what you can find on Patreon. I've got a mind full. Where did it go? I thought it just gone right out of my head.
I don't know where you're going to. I can't help.
I don't know where I'm going anymore either.
We do have, we have a lot of historical stuff. We have lots of mysteries as well, and like spooky things.
Yeah. And I've noticed that like the last few weeks, it's not that we haven't covered true crime, but I think because we've really got into the historical cases, but when we first did the first couple of historical ones, we hadn't set up the Patreon yet, so we really wanted to get them out. I noticed we were not going off on a tangent in terms of mysteries, but I feel like considering we were doing true crime and mysteries for our 3 episodes, we were sort of delving off into a bit of a different direction. So now that with the Patreons going, the majority of our history stuff will land on there. We'll have sort of some sciencey stuff on there as well.
Yeah. Basically, it's true crime and mysteries podcast, so we're going to focus mostly on true crime and mysteries.
Yeah, for this one.
Yeah.
And then our Patreon will cover pretty much anything else that we're
spooky
quite interested
stories.
in. Yeah. We like spooky stuff, anything historical, sciencey bits.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some still sort of fall into a bit of a mystery category.
Yeah, because we want to do some like slightly paranormal stuff as well.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of ideas and a lot of things to cover. But now that the Patreon's gone, I think we're going to sort of split it between the two. And every now and then, like I said, with the witch trials, we'll still cross it over into the free as a bit of, to give you a bit of a taster, if you like, as to what you can get on your Patreon. But yeah, to get the full witch trials, you will need to subscribe to our second tier, which hopefully you'd like to do, because I'm hoping everyone else is as excited about it as we are. Especially after all the work we're putting in. So
yeah, and we've priced it at a reasonable price. I think.
This was it, because we know like times are tough as it is, and I know that it's not necessarily something that everyone can afford. But we obviously still need to make money ourselves, but we didn't want to be too unreasonable, so we've put it right at the bottom scale of. Well, basically that was pretty much the lowest we could sort of put it for that tier.
Yeah, because even then they were like, we prefer you to have a little bit higher. And we're like, no, we're going to stick with these.
Yes, this is it. So we'll get that going. Eventually we will add a third tier, but we're not ready to do that yet, purely because we haven't got enough merch out yet. So that will include some extra exclusives with merch. But obviously we didn't want to put that out there when we haven't got anything, yeah. But yeah, so on that note.
What do you have for me today?
I have a mystery,
which
has links to death, but it's not a murder mystery.
Okay.
It's a medical mystery, so it's kind of scientific.
Okay.
Now, have you ever heard of anything called the dancing plague?
I know exactly what you're about. Yep.
Okay.
In France.
Yes. It happened all over Europe.
Okay.
Well, in several different places, but yes, it was in France.
I know what you're on about.
Okay, well, we're going to discuss it regardless.
I will act surprised.
Okay, thank you. So for anyone out there who hasn't heard of the dancing plague, it happened it started in 1518. Now, there's several cases of this over the years, but this is the most notable one.
Also, my brain is still flaccid, so I do forget a lot of information. So most of this may be a surprise to me anyway.
Okay, I might surprise you with something, but yes. The dancing plague, or it was also known as a dance epidemic, was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Strasbourg, which was in the Holy Roman Empire. Sorry.
I have been there, by the way.
Have you?
It's quite nice.
And today it's basically modern day France.
Mm-hmm.
And it started from in July 1518 and went on to September 1518. So a span of, 3 months? So what is dancing mania? Also known as a dancing plague, choreomania, and St. Vitus dance, the dancing mania was a social phenomenon. It involved groups of people dancing erratically. The mania affected both adults and children who danced until they collapsed from exhaustion and injuries.
Mm-hmm.
The outbreak began in July when a woman began to dance in the street. Historical documents, including physicians' notes, cathedral sermons, local and regional chronicles, and even notes issued by the city's councils, are all clear that the victims danced. So historical sources agree that there was an outbreak of dancing after a single woman started a dance. A group mostly of younger women joined in. The dancing did not seem to die down. It lasted for such a long time that it attracted the attention of Strasbourg's magistrate bishop, and it was said that the doctors had to intervene. Now, there's a bit of controversy over whether people actually danced to their death.
Yeah, because I have a question. Am I remembering right, or did you come across this? Did they start painting shoes red because their feet started to bleed so much that they just started to paint the...
Oh, no, I hadn't pictured this.
I think their shoes started to turn red because they were dancing so much that their feet...
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So, some sources claim that for a period of the plague, it killed around 15 people per day, but sources from Strasbourg city at the time did not mention an exact figure of deaths or even that there was any. So is this because they didn't want to record any deaths or because there wasn't any? So, or I'm thinking if there was deaths, was it secondary to something else?
Oh, okay.
So now Strasbourg wasn't the only time the dancing plague existed. There were numerous cases between the 14th and 17th centuries. Weirdly coincides with the witch trials. Some believed...
Didn't think about that.
Yeah. Some believed it was caused by demonic possession or divine judgment.
Mm-hmm.
One case in the 15th century in Italy, a woman was bitten by a spider, the venom making her dance convulsively. The only cure to her bite was to shimmy and to have the right sort of music.
Sure.
available, which was an accepted remedy by scholars. So they said there was the only way to cure it. Now, I'm querying an epileptic fit. That's what I immediately thought. And it's not that she had to shimmy. She was convulsing, basically.
Or maybe...
And then after a period of time, it stopped. It's not she needed to shimmy to cure it. It's just her fit ended.
Yeah, maybe... Did you say they started playing music?
Yes.
So maybe they just started playing music and she began to shimmy and then they're like, this is it.
Yeah, this is the cure. So... as I've already noticed, the timing, I'm very surprised that they didn't blame witches for it. Now, they didn't, but given the time, I'm very surprised that they didn't. Done. Especially with a lot of the excuses that they used for people being witches and the things they should have done.
Blasphemy.
Yes.
Yeah, some of the things I've come across, I'm like, really?
But they didn't cause the dancing plague, apparently.
This is one thing you would...
Yeah, you would associate them
with.
Especially they associate a lot witchcraft with being with the devil and the demons. So demonic possession, I would have naturally gone with witches, but apparently not.
Oh, no. This is evidence of something clearly happening.
Yeah, someone got a bit groovy, really enjoyed the dancing. Is it like an ancient, like a rave?
Maybe.
But yeah,
so... Like, what kind of music would they listen to? Greensleeves?
I don't know. And what did they have at the time? I feel like it's just a little guy with a flute.
Might have flutes, might have like stringed instruments like violins and stuff.
Did they have like slow music, or was it all like really like intense sort of?
I don't know. What would one shimmy to? I don't know.
I don't know. Did they shimmy to different things then? To what they shimmy to?
I don't know. I only know like Greensleeves and like even is that from that period? I don't know.
But I also feel as well like they had a lot of classical sort of music, and I feel like that was the only kind of music. So I feel like there'd be really dramatic parts.
Because
like a pantomime.
I know I was going
or
about
an opera.
This. Yeah. But like in A Knight's Tale, it's kind of rock music. I know that music wasn't around then, but that's like I associate with that time.
But yeah, I also imagine like not a violin or cello, but that it starts a bit slow, and then there's a really dramatic bit, and someone like throws themselves across the road. It's like a like a sort of death.
Were there pianos?
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, whatever they had.
We're into history and stuff, and then we're like, I don't know anything about any of this. No, I don't know.
But this is it. Okay, it's very strange. So, obviously that started. So, now I'm going to look into some more modern theories as to what happened, because obviously the ancient ones were stupid and clearly not right. So, the first one I looked at was food poisoning. Now, some believe the dancing could have been brought on by food poisoning caused by a toxic and psychoactive chemical product of ergot. This grows commonly in grains such as rye used for baking bread. Yeah. I'm going to mispronounce this word. Ergotamine is the main psychoactive product of ergot fungi. Fungi.
These are fungi.
And is the substance which LSD was originally synthesized. The issue with this theory, though...
But the longevity of it lasting.
Yeah.
Would you dance for that long? They wouldn't be in your system for that long. Yes, I'm sorry, you're getting into it. I'm sorry, I ruined it.
It's the second half of my sentence.
I'm sorry, continue.
Okay. The issue with this theory is that it's unlikely that those poisons would have reacted in exactly the same way, or that they could have danced for days. It also fails to explain why every outbreak occurred somewhere along the Rhine and the Moselle rivers, areas linked by water, but with quite different climates and crops. So not all the same crops grew there. Okay. So then...
Maybe something in the water?
Possibly. So then the second one was a stress-induced mass hysteria. So mass hysterias involved many individuals suddenly exhibiting the same bizarre behaviour. The behaviour spreads rapidly and broadly in epidemic patterns. This level of stress could have been caused by the ruthless conditions lived by people throughout the early modern period. People at the time were riddled with diseases and suffering starvation, and inhabitants tended to be superstitious. So there is cases of mass hysteria, but more often than not, they're later a bit debunked by something else, like some sort of poisoning or a chemical, like something they've inhaled. And because it's all like it's something airborne, multiple people have done it. But I suppose the mass hysteria is like one person started doing it, and because of the time, it's like I said, there's mass poverty. So once one person sort of starts going there, a lot of people go there. You look at plagues,
they'll be like folie à deux as well.
Yeah. And then added in with the whole superstition, it can quite easily become sort of a mass panic. So I think that's where they're sort of going with that theory. So to me, it sounds more like it's something like of a fit. And could that have come from diseased animals like rats, like in other plagues.
Yeah.
And that obviously, oh yeah, and it spread because those, as they've tried to treat it, it's then spread to other people. Because that's how it sort of started with the main plague. Obviously, the first few people get it, everyone still stays in close contact with them.
Yeah.
Then it spreads, those people go somewhere else.
Mm.
And it very quickly takes over a small area. So was it a case of they were trying to treat it at first, and that's why it spreads so quickly? So I was then looking into the sort of neurological side of it, and there is a neurological disorder characterised by irregular involuntary movements of muscle groups that follow I'm going to massively mispronounce this, streptococcal infection.
That sounds right.
Most often manifests itself from rheumatic fever. This is also more common in women and girls, which if you notice, it started off with groups of women and girls dancing. This disease may also occur as a complication of pregnancy, disease food, and cause miscarriages, which again would also include why it's mostly with women. Other symptoms also include involuntary jerking movements, slowed speech, swallowing may be affected, episodes of crying, irritability, and anxiety.
Do we have this?
Yeah, maybe. And it can be cured by bed rest, sedation, and administration of tranquilizers. So it was saying about if people did die, it was from exhaustion. So was it a case of these people just weren't stopped? So you imagine these people sort of start this. If the people around them sort of, I suppose, not pinch them down, but maybe took them to bed, like restrain them in bed, eventually they'd have to stop the movements. It depends whether you want to look at it as a fit or whether a reaction like to a neurological disorder. But then at the same time, the only issue with the neurological disorder is it seems a bit strange that it would be a mass of people in such a short period of time. You'd more think that'd be a genetic
Maybe it's
sort
a
of
little
thing.
combination of a few.
Yeah, because for me, the big thing was if you look at the time, there was not a lot of plagues going around, but there was. Obviously, like I said, it's mostly in impoverished areas. There will be lots of things like rats, but like I said, if it's by water, if it's waterborne.
Also, with the going back to it only mostly affecting women and girls, that is like another theory of like paranormal activity.
Okay.
Like poltergeist. It only tends to happen, or supposedly happen, but the more women there are in the house.
Okay.
So maybe it is something within us that
we
can
set off.
Yeah, that we can create something.
I didn't think about that.
Maybe we have something in our brain where we think something is happening and it's just this.
Oh, okay. So like, yeah, it triggers a sort of a response.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen. It's not a modern day thing, which like I said, that links me back to, I think it was something to do with the sort of conditions people were living in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there'd been a lot of like, was it a civil war? There was some sort of war around about the same time. That's really bad. There was some war.
The Boer War? I don't know.
And like I said, a lot of people were struggling. So, and like I said, you imagine, it's not hard for diseases if it's waterborne for it to go, but also within rats. And like I said, I do think it's some sort of the convulsion. To me, it sounds like some sort of convulsion, like a fit.
Yeah.
As a response. But could that have been after a fever, like some sort of, you think, like, well, even like with like COVID and things like that we've had, it is technically like sort of a coldy sort of disease, which would be very easily spread in condensed areas where people are. But also in impoverished areas, it'd be very easy to pick it up. And I don't think it would be uncommon for things like fits to occur in that sort of thing. But I don't think they understood fits at that time, because you're going back to the 1500s. I don't think
I think
fits were understood.
It's probably a mixture of everything. Someone has a fit. Someone relates it to religion. That creates a mass hysteria. And it could also be some biological thing like water or the food.
Yeah.
Don't know. Could be.
Because like I said, if there was something in the food, like I said, to me, it was a plague.
Yeah.
Not a dancing plague. It's not literally people died of dancing.
Yeah.
But I think it was maybe something similar to the Black Plague, and that's why it hit such a vast area so quickly. But maybe it wasn't as strong as other plagues that it completely wiped people out. Maybe like it was like a really strong cold, if you like. And because of the living conditions of the people in those areas, it just wiped out a good number. But like I said, technically, there's no actual reports of death.
I was just thinking of, is it Shrek the third or Shrek 2? I was thinking of that music where is it Funky Town?
Oh my God.
That's what I'm thinking they're dancing to. That's what I'm thinking they're dancing to now.
It is. I am still curious to what they were dancing to, because I feel like if they're shimmying, they've got to have something a bit more upbeat, haven't they?
Yeah.
A bit of pace to it.
Yeah.
Maybe someone.
I don't think that there's any rhythm to them. because
Especially not if they're having a fit.
no. I don't know. It's a weird. I've
It's
heard
an
of it before.
unusual
It's a
one.
weird thing.
But I definitely do think it's probably to do with the impoverished conditions.
I'm sure they were
in.
dancing so much that their shoes turned red. I'm sure. Unless
I wouldn't. You might well be right. I didn't pick that up in the bits I was looking at, but I wouldn't be surprised if the feet start bleeding.
I think. I'm not sure if it's this one, but they started to build stages for these people to continue dancing because they thought that's how you get rid of it. Continue
so
dancing.
You're get it out your system.
Yeah. So no, that's clearly not the way to do it.
Then do die of exhaustion because they don't stop. But yeah, to me, it just seems like I said, because people that have fits, they can have continuous ones in one go, especially if they're not being treated. Obviously, then it wouldn't have been treated with medication like it is today. So if you had really severe ones brought on, let's say, either rats that have got in whatever you got, or something in the food, if it was food, it would explain the prolonged...
But then it should really affect the whole village because I assume everyone's going to be eating the same bread or the same...
Yeah, true. Unless whatever the chemical was in it, it's... Because obviously men and women aren't massively different, but there's certain genetic makeups, like maybe something it affect like hormone imbalances.
Have you heard of that guy who has an intolerance to wheat that if he ingests anything, it makes him drunk?
No.
Yeah. So he was driving and he was pulled over because they thought he was drunk. He had not drank anything. He was over the limit because he had some bread.
Oh, fucking hell.
So it makes him drunk.
This is, like I said, there's a lot. Was it my poisoning episode I did the other week where we were looking at actually a lot of foods that have things like cyanide and stuff like that in? So when you look at it like that, if you think you've got a particularly bad crop that happens to be higher in a certain content or something, you don't know what that's inducing. Because like I said, if they've had really extreme weather in that particular year, or they've struggled and it's just whatever ingredients grown, it's sort of... I suppose it is mutated, but...
I have a theory.
Okay.
It's not aliens, don't worry. God exists. He decided to mess around with some people. Make them dance.
Rather than kill them in the traditional way.
Maybe not even kill them. Maybe he just wanted some entertainment. You know, like how Zeus kind of...
Then I'm imagining like little puppets on a string.
Yeah. Kind of.
I didn't think of that.
Maybe. No, it's not that. But I don't know. It's a I've heard of this case before.
I think it is linked with it. I think it is a form of plague. But I think it's probably brought on by a mixture of things. But like I said, for women, was it more affected women? Could it have been? Because I feel like a lot of women would have been pregnant at the time. Women were pretty much pregnant all the time at that point. So was it a case of it did affect women and girls more? One, it's a sort of a hormone sort of
this is what I'm saying.
And like I said, it brought on
we are
miscarriages.
Hormone, but like everyone's hormonal. I just don't get why. But I can't say statistically. Women and girls tend to have something neurologically that makes something seem paranormal, or it could be like this. I think there's something within our...
Women's supposed to be more hysterical, so
We're supposed to be more hysterical, yes. No, that's bullshit. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, I've just thought it was an interesting one, because it kind of is a mystery. We're obviously not going to solve it.
I went to Strasbourg, but they didn't mention anything about a dancing plague. It's very nice
I feel like it's something they might have kept out of the books. So, they obviously haven't kept it out of the books.
Just in case, it starts again.
Yeah. You might trigger someone. You know, like the weird dance crazes that goes on. Like now, if you mention it, it might set everyone off.
Yeah, but then...
So that's it now. I've put it out through the podcast, and there's going to be mass dancing plagues across the world.
It's Amelia's fault.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's not confusing. It's just...
I think there is a medical reason for, or at least a scientific
It's clearly odd because it's written down.
Yeah. But is it a lack of understanding for the time? The big thing for me is how they didn't blame witches. That's the one thing that stood out for me. Because that would have been, for the time, it would have been the first thing.
Unless
everyone was so jolly they thought it couldn't have been a witch.
Maybe. Or because men weren't affected, it's all the women. So they're like, it's not a witch.
No, true. But then I'm surprised they didn't, if the women hadn't already died, I'm surprised they didn't kill them for being witches.
Or
that's the thing. If you're carrying on with a dance,
you're
a witch.
They could, yeah. I'm surprised someone didn't jump on the bandwagon of being like, I'm a witch hunter, but I'm like a Pied Piper kind of witch hunter.
Ooh,
I'm making these witches dance.
I didn't think about that.
I just thought about that.
Yeah, that would explain more women and girls.
I'm thinking of Shrek again.
But It kind of would. It's like the law of the wall, and anyone that joins in on the dancing is a witch.
There you go. Why didn't anyone think of that?
I don't know.
Did flutes exist?
I feel like they did at that point.
Yeah, because you can make them out
Early
of wood.
Period, yeah.
You could make them out of wood.
I bet they did have wind instruments.
Like,
and like violins and cellos, just horsehair, isn't it? And there's horses about, so it's whether people knew how to play them, I guess. How do people just... I mean, we're getting in a rabbit hole now.
I can play the violin.
My sister did for a little while. She played the flute as well.
Yeah. Everyone played the recorder.
Yeah, for a little bit. I think that was the go-to thing.
Yeah.
No one plays the recorder properly. But yeah, who did discover that?
I don't know. First? Maybe it's like, this sound. Oh, my belly.
This thing with little holes in.
My belly. What does this hole do? Yeah, what does this hole do?
You blow on it and it makes a funny noise. Yeah. How did we get to that point? But even with like the violins and the cello, like the drummer makes sense. Like you could hit it and it makes a funny noise, like catches everyone's attention and be like drum roll to like attention. But like a violin, who thought, right, I'll attach this bit of horsehair to a bit of weird shaped wood and not tickle it and then
stroke it, I guess, with the bow.
Yeah.
And then it has to be a certain thing so it sounds good, because if it's not tight enough, it's not going to sound right.
Yeah, it sounds too squeaky and horrible. Yeah. But how did someone get to that part?
Aliens.
No.
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Well, how did we get to anything? You can argue that.
Yeah, I think it's like a happy accident, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
my belly.
Your belly is going.
My belly is going. I do need feeding.
Yeah, I don't. Oh,
that sounded like a cow. Right, on that note, I think we should... My belly's telling me to wrap this episode up. It's confusing, but
it is a medical mystery. I don't think we're not going to solve it, but I think it is more than likely some sort of plague from some sort of epidemic at the time.
Ask what all the listeners think.
Yes. What do you think?
What do I think?
No, the listeners.
Okay, yes, I know. But you asked me directly, so I was like, what? Yes.
Well, there's no one else in the room, Natasha.
There's Fred the ghost.
What happened to Terence?
He's probably crying in the ceiling because you're not there. I don't know.
For anyone who doesn't know, we had a toilet ghost at work.
Called Terence. Yeah.
We are normal, I promise.
You could argue that
he was in the ceiling.
You could argue that we're normal because we have a podcast, as does everyone else in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
on that note,
my belly is very, very hungry, so we are going to get some food. And I don't think we're going
to solve this mystery, especially not on an empty tummy.
No.
So yes.
In the meantime, keep creeping,
and we'll keep digging.